Welcome, everybody. Transpersonal Leadership in Action is the title of the book that we published this year. And I want to talk to the three other main editors to see why you think transpersonal leadership is important. What does transpersonal leadership mean to you? Greg, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, as you know, we published the first book, Transpersonal or Leading Beyond the Ego, How to Become a Transpersonal Leader back in 2018. So that was the why and the what, if you like. And I think that Transpersonal Leadership in Action, the book that we publish here, which is How to Lead Beyond the Ego, is a natural progression, and it's a more practical illustration of transpersonal leadership in context, if you like. So that for me is why we published that, because it helps the reader put transpersonal leadership in context. But also I think it's more relevant now even than it was in 2018 with the world that we now inhabit, and the importance of being able to lead beyond the ego in a world of increasing complexity.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, John, does that sound right? Is that true to your vision of what transpersonal leadership is all about, do you think? That description that Greg
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for far too long we've thought about leaders thinking in more of a cognitive terms of how the strategy of an organization, taking care of the shareholders, etc., etc. And I think in this new world, which is much more complex and in social terms as well as business terms, I think we need to think about the emotional and spiritual side of leadership as well. And so what transpersonal leadership does is it brings together the cognitive together with the emotional and the values-based thinking of how we go about living our lives, but within the context of leadership.
Right, John. Yes, absolutely. And it is that complexity of management, which goes well beyond traditional sort of management science, if you like, however important that might be. Danielle, when you reflect on writing the book, what does it offer, do you think, transpersonal leadership in action in terms of helping people to understand the concepts, but also to apply them?
Well, I think for me, the underpinning philosophy is, I think, some of the stuff that motivated sort of famous philanthropic capitalists of yesteryear, like Joseph Rowntree, and we still have the Rowntree Foundation. So it's actually about doing good, not business. It's that sense of serving a higher purpose that creates a different way of leading, realizing that you're not just there to line your pockets or the pockets of your shareholders, but actually to do something that is in alignment with the way the world is going. And the world is so interconnected these days that we can't disentangle ourselves. That the COVID pandemic was a case in point. A little germ over in many thousands of miles away within a matter of weeks transformed the way the whole world does business. So we can't ignore the systemic impact of the small things, because it's that old butterfly effect, isn't it? That we all know about. That a hurricane starts with a butterfly beating its wings, and that very much is the case. So this, for me, if the first book was the self-help manual, learn what it's all about, this is the handbook that helps you apply it in a day-to-day context, or shows you how it works in a day-to-day context.
Yeah, and we've used various case studies and stories, haven't we, in this new book, I have to say, to show that transpersonal leadership isn't just about some familiar concepts like good leadership or servant leadership. So it's not just an ethical thing to do, but it really is in a complex world, and a really effective way of doing it, in the same ways we know now that organizations based on values are more effective, efficient, profitable and successful than those that aren't. Similarly, transpersonal leaders are more effective and impactful than traditional ones, I think. So thank you very much indeed, everybody. That's great. Transpersonal Leadership in Action, new book from Leadership.